Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Leadership Elections Hustings event. We hope you enjoyed the presidential debate, and next up we're going to be interviewing Stephanie Yeung, who's the current Deputy President, Finance and Services, also known as DPFS. Stephanie's running again this year, and she's the only one of the two candidates for the role who's agreed to be interviewed. A little bit about the role. The DPFS helps manage the union's 5 bars and 2 shops, and together with the Deputy President, clubs and societies, they're responsible for the training and support of volunteers in the union's clubs, societies and projects. Stephanie, thank you for coming. Please could you introduce yourself and tell us why students should vote for you to be DPFS next year?
Yeah, thank you for having me. So as mentioned, I'm Stephanie and I'm your current Deputy President for Finance and Services this year. So a little bit about myself. Before this, I studied biomedical engineering for 4 years, and during my time as a student, I was the Ethics and Environment Officer, as well as Recreation Management Group Chair for over 40 CSPs, so our clubs and societies. And through those 3 years of experiences, it's helped me build the experience and skills that I needed to excel in the role of DPFS, and it also helped build interest. And now that I've been in the role for the past 7 months, every day I come into the office excited about the things I do, and so far I've already been able to deliver on some of the promises I made to you last year. So I think some of those include pushing for dedicated funds and resources towards sustainability at the union. Another thing is creating the union sustainability plan, which will help strategize the way the union approaches sustainable practices within the organization. And another thing is, just 2 weeks ago, I hosted and delivered the London Student Sustainability Conference here at Imperial and supported students during the Sustainability Fortnight. And I think one of the things that I'm most happy about is that I've made a conscious effort to listen to our students, to hear from you, whether it's through my inbox or through my forums on sustainability and events. And through those, I've taken your feedback and actioned them within our teams to kind of inform union policies and our events, including the upcoming summer ball. Hope everyone's excited for that. But yeah, I think something that everyone would probably be most excited about is I'm happy to say I've been working closely with our team to lower the prices in our bars. So I think that's something we can all look forward to in a month's time. So cheaper drinks during stressful exam seasons to support your welfare. But yeah, I think why you should vote for me, I care. But yeah, I'm gonna hand it back to Jamie now.
Thanks, Stephanie. So you mentioned the unions, the prices at the union's bars and events and shops. And in your manifesto, you say that you're going to continue pushing for student-friendly prices across those. Practically, how would you go about reducing those prices further?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think it's important to stress that in this economy, we're all a bit broke. I hope we all agree. And I think that's been something that's always on my mind whenever I work with our team, with our commercial team. It's one of the emphasis I always bring up whenever we consider or make decisions for our shops, for our bars, for our events. It's to make sure it's accessible to students, especially with the cost of living crisis. In terms of how we're going to achieve that, I think, as you can see, I've already worked closely with the team to kind of lower the prices. This includes finding a new supplier who's been able to give us better prices, which is why that's coming in soon, and then working with that supplier to continue getting better deals, making sure our students are getting the drinks they want at the prices suiting their wallet. And I think in terms of events and shops, it's a similar approach. It's making sure, first thing, that student accessibility, financial accessibility is always a priority consideration when we make that decisions. And I think in terms of how we can achieve that, I think one of the reasons some of our things are expensive is because we have merch or we have events that students don't necessarily want to engage. They don't want to buy tickets, and as a result, to ensure we're not making a huge loss, we have to up the ticket prices. and that causes disproportionate financial stress on those people who do want to engage. So I think it goes to my manifesto point about working with students to kind of develop the events that students want, led by students and for the students. So when students help create an event, and it's an event they want, and eventually students will just come to the event. And I hope that builds community, and that community helps drive people coming to events, and that would help bring down the event prices. I think the long-term goal is, once we have a set of events that we know students want and ways to get student feedback, maybe in the long run, events will be free. I think that's the goal we want to strive for, but in the meantime, we're taking baby steps to approach that.
Sorry, can I just ask a follow-up? So you mentioned that you're aiming to hold events that students want and to use them to bring down prices. That's something that you started working on this year. How far has that got?
Yeah, so I've had events forums, and I've heard from students in volunteer positions who have shared their experiences and their thoughts on our current range of events. I make sure that they feel open and honest, and they can share the most honest feedback. They can roast our events, because that's kind of what we need. We need to hear what works and what doesn't work. I've had great suggestions for events such as a paint by numbers night for more relaxed kind of vibes, but also like requests for an emo music night. I think that's been something that people have been asking for, and different things. But yeah.
Thanks, Stephanie. So my final question to you is this. You mentioned 4 key areas that you'd like to focus on: sustainability, community, accessibility, and transparency. So those are the same areas that you mentioned when you ran for this role last year. What's the difference this year?
I think the difference is I'm building upon the things I've done. And the reason I've chosen to focus on the same 4 areas is because I like to think I'm the same person I am when I came into the role last year when I ran for elections. Just more experience now with 7 months under the bag as DPFS, and just as passionate, if not even more so, because I've seen the changes I can make and the changes I've already made, and I believe I can continue making a difference. In terms of the differences under these goals, if you look under them, for sustainability, I'm taking an approach to embed sustainability across all aspects of the union. So it builds onto the union sustainability plan work I've been doing. So it includes making sure we're holding the college accountable, our internal operations and processes within the union, and as well as empowering students through training, through projects, through support, to make sure they feel empowered to take action on such a daunting task of sustainability and climate change. And then things like community, I think something that I've noticed whilst in the role is we need to be constantly reminded that students are the focus, and we need to listen to students, because that's been our downfall in terms of why events haven't worked. So that's the focus I've been drilling down. And accessibility is just continuing to push it down even more, not just for bars, it's everything across the board. And for transparency, I think last year my focus was more on CSP finances and everything. I think this year I want to expand that to not just CSP finances, but also on our commercial operations, our progress on sustainability. I think it's just to make sure everyone can have a channel to understand the black box that is the union.
Okay, thanks, Stephanie. So that's all from the candidates for DPFS, and we'll be back at 3 p.m. with a candidate for Deputy President Clubs and Societies, Christian Cooper. Thanks, everyone.